It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and today's episode will be all about the Bird Gang. That is the Arizona Cardinals. As we start to prepare for the upcoming 2021 NFL season, we'll take a look at some training camp quick hits, some reasons for optimism and causes for concern, in addition to our offensive and defensive positional breakdowns. But first, let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the Cardinals season as we go into our 4-minute offense. The Cardinals this offseason went back to the 2011 NFL draft and grabbed some players that helped them for this 2021 season. Bringing in A.J. Green, defensive end J.J. Watt, and center Rodney Hudson on paper is a fantastic haul. In reality, the question will become how much do these guys have left in the tank? And just judging by last season, I'd say Hudson has far more to give than the other two, but that doesn't mean that they can't be productive for this football team. In actuality, Watt is coming off of a very good season where he stayed relatively healthy and played all 16 games, something he hadn't done since 2018. And A.J. Green missed all of 2019 after missing parts of 2018 with an injury and was getting his sea legs back underneath him last season. So to me, he's the wild card of the bunch, and we'll just have to wait and see if he can catch lightning in the bottle at 33 years old. Running back Chase Edmonds, who's entering his 4th year in the NFL, looks like he'll be the lead dog in the backfield this season. Edmonds has filled in admirably when he was given starts over the last 2 years and has shown enough to warrant this opportunity. Last year, he averaged 4.6 yards a carry and also chipped in with 53 receptions and 4 receiving touchdowns. He's the type of back that can alter how you defend the Cardinals, putting your defense consistently in a matchup situation. With the solid offensive line in front of him, I would expect the former Fordham Ram to crack that 1,000-yard mark, which would be the first time a Cardinals back did so since 2016. Last year, the Cardinals defense was dealt a rough hand from an injury perspective, and they still managed to not be terrible. Jordan Phillips, Chandler Jones, and cornerback Robert Alford all missed time last season, with Alford being lost in training camp for the entire year. Both Jones and Phillips missed a combined 18 games, and that's 3 integral parts on the defensive side of football at all 3 levels. In fact, second-year defensive back Jalen Thompson missed 11 games, so the Cardinals are thankful that 2020 wasn't a complete disaster defensively, but they're even more thankful to have these guys back, healthy, and ready to go for 2021. It's Kyler Murray's 3rd season in the desert, and he's gotten better within his game every year. We saw him come through more in the clutch last season with 4 game-winning drives and 3 fourth-quarter comebacks. We saw him be much more of a judicious runner last year, nearly cracking 1,000 yards. His yards per attempt, yards per game, completion percentage, and passer rating all went up, and his sack number was cut nearly in half. And as a result of all that, the team's record improved by 3 games. So he's trekking in the right direction, and we'll see if this year will be the year they break through and get to the postseason. Kyler Murray has been a solid quarterback so far in his career, trending toward top 10 category as he's coming off of his first Pro Bowl appearance. What impressed me the most last year was how decisive he was as a runner, which was a knock I had about his game coming out of Oklahoma. Now that added an entirely new dynamic in 2020, and I'm hopeful that he'll keep that in his arsenal for 2021. Now where he can take a significant step forward as a passer is working the intermediate to deeper levels down the field with the same level of decisiveness and accuracy. If that happens, he'll stroll into that aforementioned top 10 category. Right now he's about 11 or 12 for me, so he's right there and could jump into that conversation this season. Now, the Cardinals added veteran depth behind him with Colt McCoy this offseason and still have high hopes for the versatile Chris Streveler. The Cardinals haven't had a 1,000-yard back since David Johnson did it back in 2016, and last year they nearly had 2 1,000-yard rushers as Kenyon Drake came up about 45 yards shy and Kyler Murray about 180 yards shy. Now, the Murray dynamic will always be there moving forward, I believe, but this year there's no Drake as he's off to the Raiders, and Chase Edmonds steps up next in line to tote the rock. We spoke earlier about Edmonds' impact, and his ability to break a game open with chunk plays is the main reason why he's getting the lead role in this backfield. They also brought in veteran James Conner via free agency to be their closer, so to speak, and a guy that can bully his way near the goal line. So I'll be interested to see how second-year player Eno Benjamin out of Arizona State fits into the mix, as he didn't get many reps or any reps at all last year, and he'll compete once again for that RB3 role with Jonathan Ward. Gone is future Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald, and the Cardinals went out and found themselves another veteran to step in his place as A.J. Green comes over from the Cincinnati Bengals. Health has been the issue the last couple of seasons for Green, and if he's fully ready to go, we could see the 33-year-old have a bounce-back season this year. He'll pair up nicely with DeAndre Hopkins, who is arguably the best receiver in football. He has the strongest set of hands in the game and is coming off of a 1,400-yard, 115-catch season. Now, the team hopes that fourth-year player Christian Kirk can take a major step forward and sort of be their number 2 wideout, sliding that veteran A.J. Green to more of a number 3 option and easing him into the mix. Kirk scored 6 touchdowns last year and is a big play waiting to happen, and all eyes will be on rookie wide receiver Rondale Moore out of Purdue, who has that do-it-all type talent and that A+ explosiveness that you look for. It looks like he and Andy Isabella will be vying for that same role, as both guys are slot types that have that quick twitch that you want on the inside. Moore has a lot of health questions coming out of college and is looking to regain that form that he showed as a true freshman. While Isabella hasn't been able to gain much traction so far within his offense, the same can be said for Keyshawn Johnson, who enters his 3rd year in the NFL. Isabella, Johnson, and JoJo Ward will be in a fierce competition this summer. Max Williams is their tight end who aids their run game, and he's another one who was banged up a bit last season and figures to provide more with a clean bill of health. Darrell Daniels will once again provide depth at number 2. I like what the Cardinals have done up front over the last couple of seasons. This is a really good offensive line with DJ Humphries and Kelvin Beachum at the tackles. Josh Jones gives them really good reserve play, as well as the developing Josh Miles out of Morgan State. Now inside, Justin Pugh is rock solid at one of the guard spots, and he'll be joined by 2 newbies, albeit 2 good newbies, in center Rodney Hudson and guard Brian Winters, who comes over from the Buffalo Bills. Now Winters will more than likely start, but it'll be a battle between he and Justin Murray, who started last year and played well. Now Murray can also play tackle if need be. Rookie Michael Bennett out of Penn State was an underrated selection in the 7th round in my opinion. He's got brute strength and gets a ton of movement in the run game. Max Garcia and Shaq Calhoun provide good depth for the Cardinals on the inside. Adding J.J. Watt to this defensive line, even at this stage of his career, is still a good move. Like we talked about earlier, he's coming off of a full season where he was fairly injury-free and also very productive. So his arrival will help 3rd-year player Zach Allen, who I think is ready to break out, and Jordan Phillips, who returns from injury, to have banner seasons. Phillips' absence allowed Leki Fotu to gain valuable minutes as a rookie and now looks like a solid reserve, if not a starter, in certain situations. Both Michael Dogbe and Rashard Lawrence give them good rotational pieces at end, and I think Dogbe is another one who could see a breakthrough this year. Xavier Williams was also brought in recently to bring depth at nose tackle. This is the best unit on defense in my opinion. Having a healthy Chandler Jones back in the mix instantly makes your pass rush better. He's entering his 10th season in the NFL and is still stout on both ends of defense. Marcus Golden was acquired midseason from the Giants and ended up finishing with 4.5 sacks. He and Devin Kennard are what I like to call pros at the position. They're just really good, solid football players that you want on your defense. Now, drafting Victor Dimukeje out of Duke gives them a young rusher that they can groom for the future. And Dennis Gardeck finished 2nd on the team with sacks and 7. He's now the leader in that, the leading returning sack getter at the position. And because of his breakout last year, it will be hard pressed to keep him out of the rotational role within his defense. Now on the inside, 1st round pick Zaven Collins is expected to be a plug and play stud on the inside. He's got very good football awareness and does a great job of covering everything within his responsibilities. He will be a perfect pair to Isaiah Simmons as he's coming off of a rookie season where he flashed the athleticism and playmaking ability that you saw at Clemson. And Jordan Hicks is a strong veteran that can start if need be, but he'll be more than likely playing the depth role with Tanner Viejo. Budda Baker is a difference maker in this Cardinals secondary that is looking to improve this season. He's a chess piece out there on the field with elite level football IQ and instincts, and bringing in Malcolm Butler at cornerback this offseason is a step in the right direction as it takes some of the pressure off of 3rd-year player Byron Murphy and allows him to play more of a suitable slot corner role. Now, because of injuries the last 2 years to Robert Alford, Murphy hasn't been able to play inside. He's been on the outside. And to be quite honest, he has more than held his own. Now, Alford is back healthy, but he'll have to hold off free agent signing Darqueze Dennard for that starting role, who comes over from the Atlanta Falcons. Rookies Tay Gowan out of UCF and Marco Wilson out of Florida will also factor into the mix as well, and will get a long look this preseason as they are both long and athletic defenders. And I'm a big fan of Jace Whitaker, who made the team last year as an undrafted rookie free agent out of Arizona and played some games for them last season. He, Jalen Thompson, and Deontay Thompson will give them strong young depth across the back end. One of the reasons for optimism for the Cardinals is the fact that they have explosive capabilities on offense. You talk about their receiving core with DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, and the rookie Rondale Moore. Plus their quarterback is dynamic in Kyler Murray, Chase Edmonds. So there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about this offense every year. And defensively, that front seven should be outstanding. They get J.J. Watt. They have a healthy Chandler Jones and Jordan Phillips. They added someone like Xavier Collins to go with Isaiah Simmons, along with Marcus Golden. So to me, that defensive front seven, along with that offense, definitely gives you a lot of optimism heading into the season. A cause for concern would be cornerback play. They were thin last year, and they did with what they had. And if that happens again, this could be an issue. You bring in Malcolm Butler. You hope that Robert Alford is out there healthy, but you also bring in Darqueze Dennard to go along with Byron Murphy. So on paper, it looks like it's vastly improved. But if those guys can't step up, then that could be the weak spot of this defense. Now let's take a look at some training camp quick hits, and we'll start with our camp surprises on both sides of the ball. I think people will be surprised at 7th round pick Michael Bennett out of Penn State and how strong at the point of attack he is and how good he is on both ends of offense, giving them strong depth at center. And keep an eye on Lorenzo Burns, the cornerback, the undrafted rookie free agent from Arizona, teammate of Jace Whitaker, and has the same level of skill set. You talk about someone that has explosive bursts, quicks, and ball skills. Look for him to make this roster a surprise in camp. Rookie impact wide receiver Rondale Moore, I think, will prove to have a clean bill of health and will be utilized in a multitude of ways, serving as their big playmaker on offense. So look for him to have a huge impact this season. And Xavier Collins, I think, is ready to go day one. He was outstanding last year for Tulsa, and I'm glad he was able to land in a spot like Arizona, because now you have him and Isaiah Simmons, two tremendous inside linebackers. When you look at X factors on offense, I just look at head coach Cliff Kingsbury, who's also the offensive coordinator, and how well he gets better situationally could determine how well they do as a team this year as a whole. And Malcolm Butler being the number one corner out there on the field, he's going to have a standout year and play much better than what we saw him play at times at Tennessee. If he can be their number one corner, it takes a lot of pressure off that secondary, which should be much improved this year. Breakout players on offense, look for Chase Edmonds to go over 1,000 yards. I think this guy is dynamic. Always been a big fan of his game since watching him as a true freshman at Fordham. I think he's going to crack that 1,000 yard mark this season. And defensively, look for Isaiah Simmons to take that next step at linebacker. This guy, he can move around that defense and play any position within the back seven, but I do think we'll see him be a little bit more consistent and making those splash plays consistently, more so than what we saw him do as a rookie. The road to the Super Bowl for the Cardinals goes as follows. That defense has to stop the run. If they can get stout up front with a healthy Jordan Phillips and J.J. Watt playing like he did last year, they should be able to stop the run much better in 2021. If that secondary that we talked about all show steps up and makes plays on the corners, they'll be really good. If the situational football gets better, which means they'll close out games better, they'll call better games in under 4 minutes, and also in certain situations out throughout the game, red zone, third down offense, backed up offense. If that gets better, this team has more than enough talent to get to the Super Bowl. I have the Cardinals finishing first in the NFC West. To me, they've taken the right steps forward every year. They've gotten better every season. They've tinkered with their offense a little bit every year. I think this year will be their best defensive front seven they've had, and I think that right there will help out their back end. They still have a star back there, remember, in Budda Baker. So I just think this is more of a complete team in Arizona, one that will finally get them to break through, win a division, and get into the playoffs. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plans NFL All 32. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. Don't forget to check out and subscribe to Football Game Plans Network, which is located at youtube.com/footballgameplan, and wherever you get your podcasts, be sure to subscribe to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating.
It's D-U-E-U till I see you by this point. You're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it. Let's do it. We gon' make this thing official. You heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit. Man, we about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it. Let's do it. We gon' make this thing official. You heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit. Yeah.